Hi everyone, if you're an existing subscriber, hello and welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hello, welcome, and why not hit subscribe now? I'm your host, Alicia Victoria Keane, and I've been interviewing inspirational people and businesses to find out how and why they inspire others. This week, I wanted to find out the tips and tricks for homeschooling and studying for exams. So I decided to speak with study coach Jude Kennedy. Here's how it went. Hi Jude and welcome to the channel. To begin with, if you could just introduce who are you and what do you do?
So hi, I'm Jude Kennedy at UCL. I'm a study tube YouTuber, so I do videos based on your study technique, revision, exams, and that was pretty much me. I'm 17. Last year of school online.
How are you finding that? How are you finding it all being like virtually as opposed to in person?
It's so strange because I've worked out from being in school for all these years that my learning style is being in the class, listening to a teacher, absorbing that information, and going home myself and consolidating it. But now being at home, I have to go between some classes are online, some aren't, some the teacher puts up work, which is fair enough, and you just do it. But it's been a massive change and it's been hard to adapt and adjust to this completely new way of learning.
How do you adapt to that? How do you adapt to the new way of learning?
So it took me a while. We've been kind of online learning on and off throughout the summer or pre-summer last year. And that was the worst time for me because exams were cancelled out of no motivation. Then coming this time, I had a better plan. I started scheduling my days, as in I wrote up my timetable, said, this is what I'm going to do now. Kept to my school timetable, and then just added in the things teachers give me, went through, and that helped me to start adjusting. And now in week 4 or whatever it is, I've kind of got a better idea of how long to spend on things, when I can take a break for myself. Because it's not like school where you're walking between classes and then you have what 5 minutes to just breathe. It's like one online class, turn camera off, turn camera on, next online class. And so it's knowing when you can take a break, how long you can take that break for, and knowing, what ways to do your work, how they want them handed in, how much time to spend on everything.
Do you find having that structure to the day helps?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I could do it if it was just completely random. I'm glad that my teachers kind of do give out work at the right time. So it'll be, 10:25 and my maths to say, here's your work, or it'll be 12 o'clock and my chemistry to say, Zoom starting now. And, it just gets you in. It kind of feels like school more than just you're at home and you've got all this work piling in at once.
So there's a lot of like things going around on the internet at the moment about how teachers are giving out work to students and some parents are struggling. How can they make it easier for themselves and how can they still get their kids learning the right sort of stuff?
I think it's really important that one, is super clear about what to do. Thankfully, my teachers are actually really good. Just and they say, okay, like in my chemistry teacher will say, if we don't have a like actual class, they'll put up the date and say, these are the 5 things I want you to do tomorrow. And it's easy because you just look at it. You spent all the work through and you just do it. Other teachers might say, in the Google Meet or whatever, do this. If you don't have it in front of you, if parents can't see, exactly what to do, then everyone's kind of a bit lost. But the teachers usually are good at replying to messages. If you say, I'm just stuck on this one thing, could you give me a bit of help? They might reply, or they might put up a worksheet for the whole class. Because if you're the one stuck on it, there's guaranteed to be at least one person that's stuck on the same thing. So I think written, you know, to-do list from teachers is really good for the both people and parents even to see and just know what they should be working on and how long they should take as well. Like don't be spending hours on something that really should take half an hour.
In terms of the revision group, what you do, what exactly is it? Can you just explain for people who are watching this?
Yes, the study tube is really an online community of people who are passionate about not really studying but helping other people to do the best that they can. So I mean it's been on YouTube for years, but it really took off in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, especially with people like Undated Jade, Jack Edwards, Ruby Granger. These are all like big names of StudyTube with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they've really, brought it forward, brought the collabs forward, and really shown so many new and interesting ways of A levels and then even on to university. And then in the past year or two, there've been loads of new people who have been inspired by these people. So, share their tips, and everyone has different tips, and everyone has different tricks on how they've done well or how they've done the best they can and how they want to help others. It's really been a massive collaborative effort from so many people.
So, obviously, you said it's not necessarily like all about studying; it's just that support network. How does someone go about joining that? How do they get that support?
So really, it's an online community on YouTube, so it's not really a face-to-face thing. It's more a YouTube channel network, I suppose, of people who may not necessarily be interconnected, but through the fans and through the followers are interconnected. So, for example, I watch a couple of study tubers, and I know that people who watch me also watch these other study tubers, and so it's a bit of a, we all know the same people, and you see people in the comments in different videos who love both videos, yours and others. And really, it's just, if you look on YouTube for StudyTube or how to do this or help with school in this way, you can find a lot of really good videos about it. So it's not really a you join something; it's more it's freely available for anyone.
What made you want to start that? What made you want to go down that route?
So in this year, which I think in England is year 11, end of GCSEs that year. It's different in Northern Ireland. But that year I'd been, working really hard. I've been loving watching exam vlogs. I don't know why. I just absolutely love, watching how people schedule their days during exams, how people don't kill themselves working so hard. And I thought, wow, I'd love to do that when I got my exam season. I didn't because I was too scared. I was like, nope, I can't do this. But once I got my grades in August, I thought, if I don't start now, I never will. And so I made that first video, awful quality, awful editing, just saying I got my GCSE results. And it didn't blow up. It didn't do well, but it got more views than I was expecting it to get. And so over the next couple of weeks, the last weeks of summer, I was just deciding to make a couple of videos here and there about things I did to get those grades. And then in about October, it kind of gradually started growing and growing and growing. I was in October, I thought, yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, it's fun, and I love doing it. So I've been doing it ever since.
Do you think that helps that it's something that you enjoy? On this channel, a lot of people say if you do something you enjoy, then normally you do a better job and you have a better success rate. Would you say that's the same for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's something that everyone has to do, but it's really hard to enjoy. And I think the fact that I actually don't mind studying has really helped me to be able to say, actually, if you don't like studying, here's some other things that you may not have even thought to do that may help you enjoy it more. Because I mean, everyone has to go to school, and not everyone enjoys it, and that's fair enough. Everyone has to study, and not everyone enjoys it. That's fair enough. But there's different ways of doing things that may make it more bearable. That may, make you work harder even. Because I know some people get put off with the whole studying thing because there's so much to do. But StudyTube shares ways of making that less, working smarter, not harder, things like that. And if you do enjoy it, I think one, if you enjoy studying, then you're gonna do it more and do better in exams. Not just how it works, but as well as YouTube, I love making videos. I don't mind studying, so put it together, and you get a StudyTube channel that I enjoy doing.
What would you say is one of the most important tips you could give anyone for studying and to make studying more enjoyable?
Come up with your own revision style. I think everyone has a completely different style, a completely different way of doing things. And if you do it enough, you'll eventually work out what works for you best and stick to it. But don't kill yourself working. That's one thing that I had to learn the hard way in my GCSE years. Don't spend all day working. It's about working efficiently, getting all the notes done. It doesn't matter what they look like. You just need to get the information into your head in some way. And I think there's this kind of whole thing about your notes have to look amazing, especially with some study grammars on Instagram. I love looking at their notes. Their notes look amazing, and I'm going, wow, I wish I could make notes like that. And then I realized how your notes look. It's more about getting the information into your head as efficiently as possible, that's really what you're spending time on. So don't kill yourself trying to make it amazing. And really just get it done and get the information into your head in whatever way works for you.
You said quite a cool point there about not like doing loads and loads and loads, just doing kind of the bare like necessary stuff to get it into your head. What's the reason for that?
The more time you spend on something, the more you get to know it. But there comes a point where your brain just turns off. There comes a point where you can't do anything else to get the information into your head. For me, per subject, for like one subject, after an hour, it's just not going in anymore. If I just keep trying to do something for too long, it doesn't go in. And there's no point in saying, okay, I'm going to spend 3 hours trying to learn this one topic, because after an hour, you're going to get bored. Your brain's going to switch off, and you're just kind of going to be going, oh, I spent 3 hours on something and I still don't know it because you just turned off. So it's really about, working out when you're going to switch off and not spending too long. If you spend maybe half an hour of really good time getting something into your head and then even take a half an hour break, you still spent that hour in that one thing, but your brain hasn't turned off, and you can live and you can go on to do something else or refresh again after. So, don't spend like 3 hours when you could spend half an hour and maybe get the same amount of information in your head at the end.
And does it help if you go away from something and then come back to it, like, I don't know, maybe the next day?
Yeah, absolutely. There are these things called forgetting curves, and the more you go over something, the more you remember it, which is obvious. But if you learn something on day one, day two, you'll have forgotten some of it, but you won't have forgotten all of it. If you go over it on day two, then that memory will last for longer. And then if you go over it again, maybe like 3 days later, you'll have forgotten some, but then you bring it back up and the memory lasts for longer. And eventually you get to the stage where the memory stays in your brain until exam season. And once exam season's over, I mean, unless it's something you're going to do for the rest of your life, you don't really need to know it anymore. I mean, a lot of stuff in school you don't use unless it's what you want to do. So as long as you can keep that memory going by refreshing and forgetting, refreshing and forgetting, then that helps you to remember a lot better rather than doing something on day one and then you almost have to teach yourself again when it comes back around to exam season. So yeah, refresh, but the time gets longer between them.
There's a lot of psychology really that goes into just revision.
Yeah. I've never done psychology. It's really interesting. But even just reading about the psychology of learning, I think is really interesting and really helped me, change a couple of things from what I've been doing to learn better as well.
Going back to like your life, you're also a pianist?
Yeah.
And also in a choir. So where does that all fit in? Obviously, you have to learn to play the piano.
So I've been learning to play the piano since I was 6 or 7. At this point, it's been 12 years, I think. Yeah, it's been about 12 years, 11, 12 years of lessons. That's something that's always been a big hobby of mine. And so I want to spend time in it. So I find the time of the day to do that. Usually it's in the morning before school when I'm really tired, or at the end of the day after a long day. That's when I really spend time practicing. For the choir stuff, it's more in school. Just the choir break and lunchtime. Not this year, sadly, but on normal years to be the choir in school that I absolutely love. And it's a time to meet more people. And then my main choir is New Year's Senior Choir, and it's a massive event, and it really only happens just once a year at Christmas time. You go to a couple of rehearsals, and then you have the big main event, and it's been something I've absolutely loved from the junior choir up to the senior choir. And yes, it's not a massive commitment, and that's something I really like. It means that you really can focus on different things. So I have all my study, and then it comes to Christmas time, and everything's kind of winding down anyway, and you get this, massive choir event, really, really enjoyable, and one of the things I look forward to every year.
With the piano, that's something that I know a lot of people would love to be able to play. In terms of learning to play the piano, what's the process? Can you literally go sit at a piano and start to read music, or?
No. I mean, not without any help whatsoever. There's lots of apps nowadays that didn't really exist whenever I started learning. But there are a lot of apps that can really help you learn how to read music. I went to a piano teacher when I was young who was so much fun and is really interested in helping people to learn to play. another language, but once you get the basics of it, everything just goes on from there. So, if you learn the notes on day one, and learn them well and just get them in your head, then as time progresses and with more practice at reading more music, then you do learn to play. But that's not the only part of piano. With piano, there's whole things like technique and like finger work and various different techniques of how to actually push the notes down. That makes piano the complicated instrument it is as well, and pedaling techniques. So it's not just your hands, it's your feet as well, and all of that. I mean, some of it I only learned in the past year, and some of it I've learned since day one. But it's such an amazing instrument to learn, and I've loved it every minute of it.
How many hours a day do you spend practicing? I know you said you practice before school. How many hours do you spend?
It depends what I'm working on at that time. So at the minute, I'm off school, 45 minutes a day of good learning. Piano is nice. It's not hard to fit in. You could do maybe a bit in the morning, a bit in the evening. I just really fit it in wherever I can. When I was doing exams, I'd be in before school. As soon as I got home from school, I'd be practicing. Before I go to bed, I'd be practicing. And when I did my last master's exam, my diploma, I would have been practicing for about 3 to 4 hours a day, because it was such a massive exam and it was a massive commitment that I wanted to do. And so if you want to do it, you might as well put the time in. And I did that at the very start of fifth year, year 11. And so it was before GCSEs, and I thought, if I don't do this now, I won't do it. So I just fully committed to doing that and got the exam, and then was able to focus on other things after that. And nowadays I'm playing for fun.
Obviously, you're very busy. You've got lots going on with the study group, with the piano, with your schoolwork. Where do you see all this taking you after you leave school?
After I leave school, I mean, I kind of have, my life plan in my head. I want to go to uni, and the course I've chosen is 5 years with a year in industry, and I hope to go to Germany with that. But with the study thing, I'm hoping to continue that on through uni. Because I have no idea what uni's really like. I mean, I've watched people in the study community who are in uni, and I've watched their experiences, but mine, being one in Northern Ireland, and so, doing a completely different course is going to be completely different for me, and everyone's going to have a different experience. And especially going into next year, where we don't really know what the situation is going to be with, are we going to be inside uni, or are we going to be learning virtually again this year? So I'd love to, continue my study panel in the uni. And if I go away to Germany in fourth year, then, travel vlogs, life in Germany. And that's exciting. And even with that, I've been doing a bit of tutoring on the side, just because it's something I like. It's chemistry tutoring, and that's my favorite subject. So it just kind of comes naturally to do a bit of tutoring on the side. I wouldn't mind continuing on with that.
Someone watching this, where can they find your YouTube? Where can they find the study group?
If you type in Jude Kennedy, it should come up. If you type in study Jude, is on YouTube. And there's some massive names, there's some smaller names, and even because they're smaller names doesn't mean they don't have really good advice. I've been really enjoying watching a couple of smaller study tubers lately, and even just giving them a comment means so much to them. Like if this person has maybe 1,000 subscribers, maybe thinking, hey, 1,000 subscribers, like where's their information coming from? But really it's coming from their experiences, and just because they're not someone with, 150,000 subscribers like the massive study tubers doesn't mean their information is any less valuable. I've actually been loving, watching all these smaller study tubers, and their information, yes, it may be coming from a smaller place, but it still is effective.
200% completely understand where you're coming from there, and I think that goes for any person who is on YouTube.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because they've got a small following doesn't mean that what they're doing and their points aren't valid, and the amount of hard work that goes into it. I know myself from doing this channel how long it takes even just to edit a video.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes you produce a video that you absolutely love, that you've put so many hours in, and then no one watches it, and you go, oh no, what have I done, and where did it go wrong? But then sometimes you realize that's just what YouTube does. Sometimes your videos don't get seen, sometimes your video just gets seen by so many people, and that's great. And I think other people, maybe who don't understand how YouTube works, it's good for them to know that people do have, videos that go really well and videos that don't go so well, and you may not see the videos that don't go so well, but if you do, and you leave a comment or you just hit that like button, it means so much to them because they say someone enjoyed it, someone appreciated all the work that you put into it.
Would you recommend someone else starting a study group?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's something that you're interested in, if it's something that you're passionate about, go for it. It may start out small, like mine did. It may, some people make one video and it goes viral instantly. I don't know how that works. And you never know, it could be you. Or, you could just start small and grow real. Like I've been growing really slowly lately. I think it's because of the exam cancellations. I'm going, oh, whoops. But, you know, different times you'll get different amount of views. Different times you'll get different, videos even suggested to you. People say, if you do a video on this, I'd love you to share some tips on this. And you make it, and that person feels so appreciated as well. You've read their comments, listened to their opinion, and you've done something about it. And I think just the community it brings, you get to recognize names, comments. You get to recognize people who come back every single time and always, say really nice things. Like people in my comments who come back and say, thanks so much for the video. And when you read that, you feel so good about yourself. Going, I did something that someone enjoyed, and that's what it's all about, the whole YouTube thing.
Jude, thank you very much for sharing your experiences and your story. Finally, I do have 10 very quick questions. Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Theatre or cinema?
Cinema.
What's your dream job?
It's not, I don't have a particular dream job, but it's something in chemical and medicine research.
Okay. Library or museums?
Ooh, I love both. Museums at this point. Earlier would have said library.
Lifelong dream?
To become fluent in German.
What TV show would you love to be a family member on?
Ooh, I'd love to be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's such an amazing show. Doesn't matter who family, but
Singing or dancing?
singing,
Puzzles or board games?
board games.
Favourite movie quote?
I really don't watch movies.
Ah,
I'm trying to think. I'm not a massive media consumer in that way, but I mean, if we're going from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, one of my favorite quotes was, "I'm kind of a bit like a succulent," and I don't know why. I just loved it. It was really funny. I love cacti. I have 9.
Next question. Where do you shop the most?
Amazon.
I think we all do these days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And final question, what does success look like to you?
So for me, it's really about helping as many people as possible and helping them to do well no matter what their circumstances are.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time today. It's been great speaking to you.
No problem. Mm-hmm. You too. I've loved it. Thank you.
I really hope that there were some useful tips and tricks in there for you guys to hopefully implement whilst you're homeschooling or whilst you're studying for exams at home due to the current situation. Some of those tips I really wish that I had when I was studying, as it probably would have made things a lot more fun. I know I spent hours sat down with a book and it was boring. So if I had somewhere where I could have gone, like a YouTube channel, like Jude's channel, it would have made such a difference. Now you can follow Jude at the links here. If you have someone that inspires you, comment below. I'm always so interested to find out who others find inspirational. Likewise, if you have an inspirational story to tell, comment below, drop me a message on social media, or even drop me an email. I'll be back here on Sunday to inspire your story, but until then, stay positive and keep going. See you later.